Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this video on the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. One of the most powerful portals of the year is being open and activated in this energy. So we're going to do a deep dive today. There's a lot going on in the cosmos, and eclipses always signal a time of change and transformation. Lunar eclipses happen at the time of the full moon, so they amplify this theme of healing, of releasing, of inward reflection. And a couple of weeks ago, we had the new moon solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are always new moons, and that happened in the sign of Taurus. And that was all about the future, where we are going, building momentum toward it. And what I see as being a main theme around this lunar eclipse is now we're still looking at where we are going. We're still focused on our vision and building that momentum, but we're now invited to look at some of those shadow aspects of ourselves, some of those parts of ourselves that we really need to get on board in order to move forward in that direction. So as you join, say hello, let me know what you are releasing and healing in this full moon energy, and also what you are celebrating. Full moons act as amplifiers, so it's also a beautiful time to do a reflection on what you are celebrating. Hi, Lorena, welcome. So I'm gonna share this into my Facebook group because I promised everyone in there I would do that. So yeah, feel free to share that. If you know people that could benefit from this information, I invite you to share this out as well. I know there can be a lot of fear around eclipses, and really we don't have to fear it. Yes, this is powerful, but we are powerful, and it's a powerful time of transformation, and especially in the sign of Scorpio, like we are really asked to connect to that inner alchemist, connect to our inner power, and create that transformation. So I'm just sharing this into my group here. It's called Spiritual Goddesses Healing the World Together. If you're not in there, come join us. I know I haven't done videos in a while on my personal Facebook page, but there are lots of videos in there. And each week on YouTube, I've been sharing cosmic guidance. You can find me there under my name as well. All right, let's dive right in. Let me know how you are feeling in these powerful energies. So again, eclipses, a time of change, a time of transformation. And yes, it's a time where we can see projects, relationships, certain people fall out of our life if that karmic contract has been served. So we have to really trust during the time of eclipses, if things or people are leaving our life, that it has served its purpose. And also, of course, new connections can come in. Manifestations can also be accelerated during this time as well. And we are definitely receiving new light codes that are streaming in right now. So some people find that they need extra rest, that they may be feeling more tired, because it's a lot of integration we are doing here. There's a lot to dive into. Hi, Robina, you found me, yay. Jordan, hello. Hi, Stephanie. Bum Taurus out. Yeah, it's a powerful one for sure. So I want to give some context to this before we look at the exact energies. So yesterday on May the 10th, we had Mercury move into retrograde. So it's stationed retrograde. And this is really falling into the theme of inward reflection. So Mercury retrograde is not a time to panic, but it is a time to look more deeply at what beliefs are active in our life. What thoughts are we entertaining? And is that getting us to where we desire to go? Or is it keeping us repeating patterns of the past? So this Mercury retrograde happening in eclipse season, I mean, that is no accident. This is falling into the theme of really helping us look at what thoughts are active in my field, what belief systems are there that I am invited to shift and transform as I move into this next chapter in my life. Now, another significant shift that is actually happening today as I do this video on May the 11th is we have Jupiter moving into the sign of Aries. So far this year, it's been in the sign of Pisces, which has been about expanding into new possibilities, expanding beyond just looking at our current reality. Sometimes we do that, right? As humans, we look at what's happening in our life and we think that's going to be what it looks like in the future. Like, oh, this is happening now, this is just going to continue. When really what's happening in our life today is actually old news. It's a reflection of the old decisions we've made, the old habits we have, and it does not have to be indicative of our future unless we look at that and continue to repeat those patterns, right? And eclipses help us not to do that by being able to release and let go. Or with Jupiter in Pisces, expanding our imagination into new possibilities, looking beyond what is to what is possible. Now, as Jupiter makes its way into Aries, this is very fiery, this is very passionate. So this is about, okay, now I know what is possible. It's time to move forward and take action on it. And we can really build a lot of that momentum with Jupiter in Aries, and it's just shifting into that sign today. So notice, if you know your unique birth chart, look at those first degrees of Aries and see what house placement that falls in for you. If you don't, that's totally okay as well. But I encourage you just to reflect on, what do you feel shifting in your life today? Where has your focus been? How are your energy levels? And just become really curious with that. Jenna, yes, you caught me live. Amazing. Stephanie, I've been getting visions during some of my meditations for other people. Yeah. It's a time where, thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. That's incredible. And we had a very powerful conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter. Now that Jupiter moves into Aries, it's starting to move on a little bit. It will retrograde again, but that's really been activating our intuitive gifts and expanding us into new possibilities. So definitely pay attention even to what's happening in your sleep. Your subconscious is processing a lot right now while you sleep. Like there's a lot happening with that, but it can definitely be an upgrade of our energy centers as well, and definitely a fine-tuning of our intuitive gifts. So that's just a little bit of context around this eclipse before we even get into the specific energies. Knowing eclipses signal change and they signal transformation, where manifestations can be accelerated, where we're letting go of the past. Mercury retrograde is assisting us in exploring those core belief systems. And Jupiter in Aries is really like, okay, let's go. Step into your power. Embody that energy of the leader you came here to be. Focus on where you are going. And even though this is a lunar eclipse, a strong message I'm receiving from the Akashic Records is overall we are moving forward. We are more clear than ever before about what lights us up, what we value, what we want out of life, and we are moving in that direction. But again, this lunar eclipse is about exploring those parts of ourselves that may not yet be on board with that vision. And that's where we're going to take a deeper look here at Scorpio. If you see me looking over to the side, I've got my MacBook here with the chart pulled up. So when I do this on YouTube, I usually share my screen so you can see the full moon chart, and that's just kind of what I have going on here. So I'm studying the energies as we go along. So the first thing we want to look at is the archetypal energy of Scorpio. Whether or not you are a Scorpio, meaning your zodiac sign is in Scorpio, these energies still influence you. You may have other planets there. Even if you don't, it rules over a placement in your chart, and this is the collective energy right now we are playing in. And the Scorpio energy embodies the cycle of death, rebirth, and transformation. It really is the sign of the zodiac that invites us to go deep. And I think that's why, some of the fear or some astrologers even, talk about this stuff in a scary way, because eclipses are a massive change and Scorpio is a sign of depth. Like, we are going deep. And sometimes that can feel really scary. It can feel scary to do the shadow work, but this energy reminds us that it's actually a necessary piece if we want to move forward in our life. Let me know if that resonates, right? It's like necessary that we look at some of these shadow pieces. Also, what I'm hearing from the records is inner child work is very key right now. So, you may have a vision of what you desire to create in your business this year. And there may be the little 8-year-old you that's feeling afraid to be out there, to be visible, to be seen, to be rejected, right? We all have these different parts of ourselves that are not always on board with the bigger vision that we have. And this full moon, this lunar eclipse, also a full moon, is inviting us to look at those aspects of ourselves and ask ourselves, what does that 8-year-old self need? Let me listen to her. Let me hear her. What does that 5-year-old self need to get on board with where I am going? So this is very internally focused. We are doing some of that deeper work. Jenna, Aries is in your 3rd house. I love that. You have a Scorpio stellium. That's right. It's going to be powerful for you. Love it. Christina, we let go of the dark to embody the light. Yeah, and it's all that cycle, right? And Scorpio reminds us of this. So this is going to be a time where you are invited to do some of that inner child work. And, I know that can be scary, right? I know that can be. And we hear a lot of people saying like, don't bypass, do that deeper work. But the thing is, if we don't have the tools for that, that can actually be very re-traumatizing. So definitely get the support you need to look at that stuff, right? Reach out to people you trust. Feel supported in this process as you move through some of those deeper things in your life. And again, this is a big message coming through as well. Overall, we are building momentum toward the future you are creating, to that vision you have for your future. That is the focus. So this is just about saying, let me get those different aspects of myself and my body on board with what I desire to create. And this will give you the insight to do that. This Scorpio is also very much about the subconscious mind. And so much of our behaviors, our decisions, our thought processes, our emotions are based on our subconscious programming. Now, with the energy that's being activated here, we can really look at that, right? We can look at what those subconscious programs are and be able to move through it with ease. Again, doesn't mean it's not going to be scary or some deeper work, but also, what if you could look at that stuff and you could transmute it? This is also about connecting to your inner alchemist. Scorpio is the archetype of the alchemist, knowing that you know how to transmute energy. You know how to look at the shadow and bring it into the light so you can move forward. It is that phoenix energy. So let me know if this is resonating. This is really what we're playing with here. If I missed some comments, I'm going to circle back after as well. It's always so hard to see them on my phone. Vanna, hello, beautiful. Putting more energy into my future. Yeah. And again, I do hear this coming through in the records. Overall, yeah, that's the focus. Now, this full moon, again, will be some of that internal work, but we want to do that work knowing where we are going, right? Knowing where we are going. And also that when we do this healing work, it doesn't always mean our life is on hold. Like, we're still making decisions. We're still taking action. We are still moving forward. So, okay, I'm going to look a little deeper now at some of these other aspects here, because the moon's making lots of aspects. So the first one that I want to look at is the moon is forming a square to Saturn. Saturn's been coming in really significant ways around these last new moons and full moons. And anytime Saturn is there, it really helps us cultivate a sense of discipline, focus, structure, and a very solid foundation for our life. That's really the word that I would use to capture Saturn, is like foundation, maybe discipline as well. The discipline to create a foundation in our life that allows us to grow and thrive. So this energy can also be about examining your life and looking at, do I have a foundation in place that allows me to get to where I desire to go? This can take many different forms, right? This foundation can be the emotional piece. Do you have that sense of emotional mastery? Do you know how to move through a range of emotions to process that? This could be in very tangible, structural ways. If you're looking at your business, do I have those foundational pieces to continue to grow and evolve? It really brings that focus in. Now, the moon's also trining Neptune. So lots of divine guidance coming in at this time. And every time you have a problem in your life, the opposite side of that energy is a solution. When you ask a question, the answer is there, right? Like that's how the universe works. It is that sense of duality, but it's also all existing in the field at the same time. So the questions you seek, if you have that question, it of course means that an answer is formulated for you to receive. So in this energy, being in that receptive space is really powerful as well. Really getting some of that guidance and trusting your intuition. Because Mercury is in retrograde, I feel like a lot of the clarity that's coming in is going to be very heart-centered. It's not going to be about logically working your way through problems or like I have to logically figure this out. Some of the decisions that you're making may not feel logical, but you know in your heart that it is the right decision for you. So totally lean in and trust that. I mean, I'm always for trusting your intuition, but these energies, be aware of how your intuition is speaking to you and have the courage to follow through with it. Because Mercury is retrograde, the details may look a little bit hazy, and that's where we have to sometimes look beyond that to, okay, but where is my inner guidance, right? What do I know in my heart is right, even if logically, like you're not sure why? That's going to be another big theme at this time. Now, the moon is also forming a trine with Mars. I love this. We still have a lot of Piscean energy here being activated. Pisces is a water sign that connects us to our higher self, our soul, our spiritual self. Scorpio, also a water sign. Water signs are about that intuition and emotion and moving through emotions. So there can be a lot of creativity that is sparked at this time as well. A lot of new creative ideas. And I don't think overall the energy is going to be overwhelming, but what I always suggest when there's a lot flowing in is like what energy has the most, or what idea has the most energy behind it, and kind of run with that, move with that, because there's going to be a lot flowing in. And trust that you don't have to take action on all your ideas all at once. Like you can jot them down and look at, okay, what one am I going to take to fruition now? And then you can circle back at a later time to look at the other pieces, the other core pieces. I just want to check in here because this is the fun of being live. I can see your comments and your questions. Jenna, opening the channel to allow and receive the flow. Yes, beautiful. And even just exploring, like, what does that look like for you to get into that receptive state? What does that energy mean? And often it can be even just sinking into our body through deep breathing, through meditation, through a nature walk, through dancing, but it's different for all of us. What gets us into a receptive state of being able to receive? Christina, foundation has been a theme lately. Yeah, Saturn really brings that peace in, I find. For sure. It's like, okay, you got to create this really solid foundation in order to be able to grow and thrive, because keep in mind the bigger picture of this energy here. Change and transformation is happening. One of my clients said this morning, she's like, some of the things that are removed from our life during this time are unexpected. And I thought that was so powerful as well, because we can be in our safety zone around that. We're like, oh, okay, I'm okay if this goes. And then sometimes things happen where we're like, oh, I want to control that. I want to hold on to that. And that's where we really have to sink into deeper trust and surrender of knowing, okay, what's being released creates space for new people, new opportunities that are ultimately more aligned to you and your path and where you are going at this time. So the last aspect, and perhaps one of the most significant that the moon is making, and when I talk about aspects, that is like astrology jargon, but it's basically just the relationships the planets are forming with one another. That help give the bigger picture of what this eclipse is all about. So the moon is sextiling Pluto. This is a harmonious aspect, and Pluto is actually the ruler of this full moon energy. Pluto is that embodiment as well of the death and rebirth and transformation cycle. It also is about power. So that theme of power these last few months have been huge. What does it mean to you to be grounded into your power? And when I talk about power, this is really fitting as well, because this eclipse is happening on the South Node, so it's bringing up a lot of the collective stuff around money, around wealth, around power, and how these things have been misused in our society. So when I talk about power, it's always being very heart-centered, coming back to that empowerment that we can all access internally. We are called to that so strongly with this eclipse. And when you recognize that, wow, I do have the ability to move through challenges and be stronger and wiser on the other side of that. I do know how to work with energy. I am not my emotions. My emotions come and go. I am not my thoughts. Thoughts come and go. They're a frequency I can opt into or not. There is power in that. And that's the kind of power this eclipse energy speaks to. That's huge, right? That's like our manifestational power, our creative power in the highest essence. And it also does invite us to have courage, right? It is going to be an element of courage to maybe look at those aspects that open those inner doors of self that feel scary to dive into, but know you are loved and supported, and keep in mind why you are doing this, right? Focus on that vision, even if it is that inward time of reflection. Let me know how this is resonating. If there's any questions around this, feel free to ask, and also feel free to share. I'll hold space for you, what you are releasing and letting go of in this energy. This, like full moons, always really good for looking at, okay, I'm letting go of this old belief. I notice this pattern of being stuck in anxiety or busyness or fear, and I'm letting that go, whatever you desire to let go of, right? It's a good energy. With eclipses, that power to release and clear is really amplified. And I do encourage you to look at the other side of it as well, not just the releasing factor, but the celebration. Because this energy, especially where it's in a water sign, it's going to amplify. It's going to amplify how you are feeling, what emotions have been active in your field. And again, that's where the healing can occur, but also the celebration. What are you really proud of achieving, right? Looking at how far you've come on your journey, not just all the steps you still have to go through to get to where you want to be, but acknowledge how far you have come and celebrate that. The energy of celebration really also activates a portal for our expansion. And you know, it's an old saying, but it's so true. And I recognize this more all the time. It's like, if we're not happy or grateful with where we are, why do we think we'll be happy and grateful with where we are going? Like, it just doesn't make sense. We have to choose, to be grounded in that energy of gratitude and joy now at each and every step of our journey, right? There's so much power in that. I want to check in on the comments now. Said I was going to do that and then just went into more channeling there. Christina, elevate and manifest is what I hear you saying. Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we are very much ascending as a planet, and eclipses really accelerate that process for the collective as well. Now, with the lunar eclipse, again, it can, if we're not aware of what's really going on, sometimes it can feel like we're being pulled into the past, but it's only to look at the patterns that we need to shift in order to move forward. And that's very much a collective thing as well. Like, that can be our personal experience, but that's happening on a larger scale with this transformation too. And Jenna had this conversation with herself. I love it. Ty, I'm using retrograde to really slow down and go through with a fine comb on everything I'm creating. Yes, beautiful. And Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Gemini, which is its home placement. So it very much, it is very helpful of looking at what projects do I have going on in my life? What have I committed to? And what still lights me up and what doesn't? And giving ourselves permission to change our mind on those things, right? But also the message I hear from the records is also, don't use this time to be in a place of indecision. Sometimes we're afraid to make decisions when Mercury is retrograde, but sometimes that's exactly what we need to do. And the Mercury retrograde actually helps us reflect a little bit deeper on the decisions that are right for us. And really trust that. And again, more than just the logical, trust where your heart is guiding you toward. Robina, I have realized that the work I need to do is letting go of all that and just flow, be in the process of flow. Yes, I love it. Yeah. And the water energy teaches us that too, right? To be in this process of flow. To be okay with surrendering and releasing and bringing in the new and just being really gentle and loving with ourselves throughout that process. because again, it can be scary to look at some of the shadow stuff, right? Explore those parts of ourselves, and really having support and tools are key in order to be able to do that without it becoming more traumatizing. Being loving and compassionate toward ourselves, so key. And you know, the overall reminder and energy too of this eclipse in Scorpio is that we can get from wherever we are today to where we desire to be in our life. We're not meant to stay stuck and stagnant. We're meant to constantly be evolving and growing, right? So, you know, when I say that as a hopeful thing, like wherever you are today, you can change that. You can get to where you desire to be. You're on your way there. And also just notice the beautiful blessings that are right where you are today, so you can use that portal of gratitude to expand into what is next. Okay, let me see if there's anything else really jumping out on this chart that I want to go into. Hi, Monica. Oh, I'm so glad you're here as well. So I will also say tomorrow we are having our first call for Become a Certified Akashic Records Practitioner. I'm so excited. Some people logged on here are part of that journey. So technically I did close the doors yesterday. Our first call is until tomorrow. So if you want to sneak in, you can message me and I'll let you if you're feeling that call. So yeah, in that space, you will learn how to read your records, how to successfully incorporate that into your business to create expansion, and you graduate as an Akashic Records practitioner. So it's very powerful. What's also very unique about this space is you learn to access the records of your business, the energetic blueprint of your business, which really just unlocks your path, your purpose, the message you are here to share, the clients you are here to work with, and what naturally makes you magnetic. So it's really powerful. So message me Akashic certification if you want in on that. Jenna's so excited to deepen this journey with you. Yeah, I'm so excited too, Jenna. You're amazing. It's going to be so powerful. We have a beautiful, beautiful group of women in that space. Okay, so let me see here. Yes, I do want to mention this aspect here. So Jupiter has just recently moved into Aries. I mentioned this at the start of the video. So if you're jumping on later on, this is quite significant as well. Jupiter moving into Aries is like that fiery energy of momentum and passion really building in our life. And it's forming a sextile with Mercury. So this is, again, like expansion into new ideas, expansion into new possibilities. And what I hear from the records around this is it will require you to like think beyond what is, to like think outside of the box, to be willing to just like expand. Anytime I see Jupiter is about expansion in Aries. There is a momentum to that. There is a passion behind it. And of course, Mercury is our thoughts, our ideas that we entertain. So that's a very harmonious aspect at play with this lunar eclipse that can also help you get unstuck. Like if you've been stuck trying to like get to the root of a problem, sometimes we go in circles with that, right? It's like if something's bothering us or we're trying to just like find the answer and we can't, it's like we feel really boxed in and contracted in that energy. So this aspect here, I think, can help us expand outside of that. So it's like this energy of, wow, I never saw it in that way. Or someone comes into our life and offers a new perspective on something. And it's like, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to start to entertain and play with that idea. But it's very expansive. And overall, I mean, I think this energy really is about expanding into new possibilities. And we want to work with this portal in that way. It's like, okay, I'm willing to look at the shadow. I'm willing to love my inner child, those different parts of myself, so we can be on board with where we are going, because it is this feeling that it's time and we are ready to fully be in our power and fully focus on what we desire to create in the highest timeline for our life. And that's really been like all the planetary shifts this year so far have also supported us in that. Like beginning the year with Venus retrograde has been a time of really looking at what do I value, what lights me up and what doesn't. So I think like for many of us, we are more clear and we have this ability to be more clear than ever before around what we want in our life, what we want in our business. And this eclipse portal is accelerating that. And our job is to stay focused on where we are going and the power we hold, the creative power we hold in order to get there. All right. I feel those are the main messages coming through. This was so fun to jump on and do this as a Facebook Live because literally it might have been up to a year since I've been on my personal page. Again, I have been doing videos in my Facebook group, Spiritual Goddesses Healing the World Together. Come join us. And on YouTube, if you want to see more on my personal page, again, I'm open to that too. So just let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Robin, nice to see you too. Again, feel free to share this out if you found this helped you today and you know people are feeling the energy of the eclipse and they're not sure how to navigate it. They're feeling overwhelmed. My intent through this was to give you deeper clarity on how to work with these energies in the highest timeline. So much love to you all. Happy full moon, happy eclipse season, and I will see you soon. Bye.